For its latest exhibit, the High Museum of Art in Atlanta has assembled 10 of the most beautiful, hideous, and strange automotive concepts ever dreamed up by man. What happens when creators balance aesthetics, functionality, and their personal vision of the future is one reason we love cars. It's especially true when the results leave us wondering, how could anyone think this was a good idea? Here are the cars that will be on display. Number 10. 1936 Stout Scarab. Designer William Stout, who worked as an aircraft engineer before turning to automobiles, was a pioneer in integrating luxury and leisure into transportation. Stout Airlines is credited with introducing flight attendants and in-flight meals. The Scarab draws on that idea. It's a road-going diner car powered by a Ford V8 tucked in the rear of the stretched aluminum body. The brand never took off, partly because at $5,000 or about $90,000 in today's dollars, the Scarab was more expensive than the Packards and Cadillacs of those days. Fewer than 10 were ever produced. Number 9. 1948 Tasco. The 1948 Tasco was made under a short-lived brand called the American Sports Car Company. The car's name is an acronym for the manufacturer. Gordon Buehring, formerly of Duesenberg, took design inspiration from World War II fighter planes. The fiberglass covering the front wheels moved with the steering input. Number 8. 1970 Lancia Stratos HF0 Bertone. This 1970 Bertone was the concept that led to the seminal Lancia Stratos. Just 33 inches tall, the concept was so short drivers had to enter through the hinged windshield. Number 7. The 1941 Chrysler Thunderbolt. The curves on the 1941 Chrysler Thunderbolt were inspired by steamliner trains. The car was among the first to have power windows. Chrysler used hydraulic motors to move them. The fully retractable hardtop and button-operated pop-open headlights were also seminal design features that showed up in cars decades later. Number 6. 1934 Voisin C25 Aerodyne. Like many of his peers on this list, designer Gabriel Voisin started off making airplanes. After World War I, he turned to cars. Only 28 of the 1934 Voisin C25 Aerodyne were made, one of which won Best in Show at the 2011 Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. Number 5. 1970 Ferrari 512S Modulo Pininfarina. Design firm Pininfarina has produced more famous works, but the Ferrari 512S Modulo car, which it created for the 1970 Geneva Motor Show, didn't aim for beauty. Designer Paolo Martin put the bizarre body on the chassis of the Ferrari 512S race car. Number 4. 1935 Bugatti Type 57S Competition Coupe Aerolithe. The original example of the 1935 Bugatti Type 57S Competition Coupe Aerolithe, which debuted at the Paris Auto Show in 1935, was lost after the unveiling. The popular explanation is that Bugatti disassembled it for parts to make the Type 57 production car that followed. The model on display is a recreation produced in 2007 based on recorded specs, photographs, and an oil painting by a Bugatti engineer. Number 3. 1953 General Motors Firebird 1 XP21. To describe today's supercars, we fall back on likening the Koenigsegg's and Paginis of the world to jet fighters. The 1953 General Motors Firebird 1 XP21 was an actual jet fighter with 4 wheels, a tail fin, and a bubble cockpit. The turbine engine spun at up to 26,000 RPM to generate a whopping 370 horsepower. Number 2. 1932 Ford Speedster. The 1932 Ford Speedster, packing a flathead V8 engine, came with a starter button decades before the feature became standard automotive fare. The low, long roadster was the brainchild of Henry's son, Edsel Ford, and designer Eugene Gregory. Number 1. 1947 Norman Timbs Special. No other automobile looks like the 1947 Norman Timbs Special, with its front-mounted cockpit and curves leading to a raindrop tail. Timbs, an Indy racing engineer, made the car with a buck-straight 8 engine placed at the rear of the chassis.